back to Beyond the Trailer's dossier on the newest members of the Expendables in their third mission. If you want the inside track on the original members of the team, you can click here or the link in the video description. So far, we've covered Mel Gibson, Harrison Ford, and Wesley Snipes, which all seem like fine additions to Stallone's merry and muscly band of mercenaries. But Antonio Banderas? Today, audiences know him as the dad in the Spy Kids franchise and the voice of Puss in Boots. Although, I think Puss could kick it with the Expendables. But listen closely, my friends, and I will tell you a tale of a young actor from España who dreamed of Hollywood. Yes, before there was Javier Bardem, there was Antonio Banderas. Way back in the 1980s, none other than Pedro Almodovar discovered Banderas and gave him his first film role, Labyrinth of Passion. Almodovar went on to make several more highly regarded and popular films with Banderas, including Tie Me Up, Tie Me Down, which is the one that put him on Hollywood's radar. And it seems Banderas has a thing for older blondes, as Madonna gave him his first gig here in the States, a small role in Truth or Dare, while years later he'd marry another co-star, Melanie Griffith. But back to Madonna. After that movie, he had his first big role in the Mambo Kings, where he had to learn all of his lines phonetically because he still couldn't speak English, and he got great reviews. That led to roles in Philadelphia, The House of the Spirits, and even Interview with a Vampire. But while he'd won over the critics, Banderas had yet to win over audiences. In truth, he never really has at large. But a small few will never forget him thanks to Robert Rodriguez, who gave Banderas an iconic role with Desperado. Desperado was actually a sequel to El Mariachi, Rodriguez's debut film that only grossed $2 million at the box office, but earned him a cult fan base. That film was made for just $7,000, but for the sequel, Rodriguez got to play with $7 million and Antonio Banderas. Interestingly, that same year, 1995, Banderas also co-starred in another action movie, Assassins, opposite Sylvester Stallone. Banderas' star seemed to be rising with Desperado, so Hollywood let him proceed to the next level. He joined Madonna once again for Evita and then got the biggest role of his career with the Mask of Zorro. He'd gotten the role because Steven freaking Spielberg had wanted the Desperado duo of Banderas and Rodriguez. But in the end, Rodriguez's style of filmmaking didn't mesh with what the studio and Spielberg wanted. Who thinks they know better than Spielberg? Anyway, at least it didn't cost Banderas the gig, and Martin Campbell, a staple of the Bond franchise, came on to direct instead. But lo and behold, the Mask of Zorro made Catherine Zeta-Jones a star, with little attention paid to Banderas. Although, when they reunited for the sequel 7 years later, her career had cooled to the point that they were equals again, and not in a good way. Since then, Banderas has always been able to rely on Rodriguez for work, from Spy Kids to Once Upon a Time in Mexico to Machete Kills. He also made a niche for himself in pervy thrillers like Original Sin, Femme Fatale, and Almodovar's The Skin I Live In. And of course, Puss in Boots has been very good to him. But Banderas would love to have his face back on the big screen, thus this Expendables gig. So do you think this will be Banderas' ticket back to mainstream live-action movies? Or should he stick with DreamWorks Animation? Be sure to share your thoughts down below, and check out the rest of Beyond the Trailer's Expendables 3 Spotlights.